Britt Baker and MJF are two of AEW's biggest homegrown stars. However, the two stars were recently involved in a backstage situation that resulted in the company having to discipline Baker for her alleged action. And in this video, I'm going to give you absolutely the latest details on this situation. Why it happened, what it led to, and much, much more. Because since returning at Double or Nothing, MJF has been the main focus on AEW television and in storylines. Think about this. He came back, he laid out Adam Cole, kicked him right in the nuts. Well, that squashed that feud. Then cut a promo announcing that he had re-signed with the company. In fact, he got a tattoo of AEW on his leg. You talk about all in. Then he goes on this babyface run. He aligns himself with Daniel Garcia, and then he turns heel. And he turns on Daniel Garcia. He beats this poor buck down. Leaves him just laying and bloody. I don't know why I'm doing a Vince McMahon voice. And so then he goes into a feud with Will Ospreay, winning the international title from Ospreay on a recent episode of Dynamite. They'll run that back at All In. For Britt Baker, well, she was also someone that was on the sidelines. MJF, he was on the sidelines since World End in December due to injuries, right? He had to drop the World Heavyweight title. Baker, she missed a ton of time in 2023 and 2024 due to injury, and then obviously she had her very serious medical situation. Well, she returned at the Forbidden Door pay-per-view event where she confronted the CEO, Mercedes Moné, and no, she did not do her entrance song of CEO, CEO. That didn't happen. However, the two have been feuding as of late. They've been doing a bunch of angles on television and now are slated to meet at All In later this month, where Moné will put the TBS title on the line. Now, it's important to note that this, MJF, well, he has a new girlfriend, and that new girlfriend recently joined the promotion as an on-air talent. That talent being Alicia Atout. Now, that leads us to today's video, right? Because you have two megastars in their own ways. You have MJF, AEW's biggest star, and you have Britt Baker, AEW's biggest female star. Two talents that really worked their way up. Britt made it there a lot faster than MJF, but MJF is a much bigger star. It's very ironic. Now, I have two reports, one from Dave Meltzer, Uncle Dave. He reported in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that Baker was suspended for either 1 or 2 weeks and fined by the company's disciplinary committee. This is what Meltzer had to write. He said details had been kept pretty quiet. It came from something backstage at the July 17th episode of Dynamite where Baker had allegedly said something about MJF, and Alicia Atout, MJF's girlfriend, heard about it, told him. MJF confronted Baker. This led to an investigation with HR talking to people on July 24th. And I believe the disciplinary committee that did the investigation recommended that, end quote, meaning the suspension. Now, it's unclear whether or not AEW President Tony Khan was involved in the investigation, but everyone attempted to keep this under wraps. Meltzer even added that most of those we heard from were sympathetic to her in this situation, end quote. Now, keep in mind that AEW handled this situation due to past situations that weren't addressed. And AEW put together a committee to settle these situations quickly. Now, Fightful Select reports, and this is where things get really juicy. They report that the word internally was Baker exercised frustration about MJF within the women's locker room. And Atout, well, she was in the locker room. So, of course, she went to her boyfriend and told him about it. This led to MJF going to Baker. This is what they had to say. While details are said, he said, she said, at this point, they were told that there were confrontations between Atout and Baker in addition to MJF and Baker. Now, Will Ospreay, he went to Baker at one point and tried to talk to her. The word is Baker took issue with Atout telling MJF about what was said in the locker room. Now, keep in mind that there's even more to this story because Baker and MJF, well, they were close friends at one point. but had falling out at some time in 2023. HR, they got involved in the situation several weeks ago. Baker has since appeared on AEW television since, but was legitimately suspended by All Elite Wrestling. Y'all, you can't get more interesting than this story. When this thing popped up on the newsletter, I was like, wait, is this a shoot, or is this like, did I miss something? How did I miss a suspension angle, right? And then it was like, oh no, this is real. And then all the tweets started coming out and everything like that. And I will say this, look, Uncle Dave Meltzer, he has been doing this for decades, right? But I would say that Fightful Select is the premier source for inside pro wrestling news. I really would. PW Insider, they're fantastic as well. The problem with Dave, and I think people call him out on this for actually the right reasons for the most part, he does tend to throw in a lot of opinion and a lot of guessing into what he says in his newsletters, and especially on the radio. And as someone who has covered pro wrestling news day in, day out for a decade, you have to be extraordinarily careful in what you write. When you are recapping whatever he posted or whatever he said, you have to make it very, very clear, to the point where I go out of my way and I just directly quote what he said or what he wrote, because I don't want it to be somehow taken out of context. That's my Dave Meltzer rant. But when it comes to Britt Baker, when it comes to MJF, when it comes to Alicia Atout, I think all three are extraordinarily talented. I think MJF can be one of the biggest stars to ever come through the pro wrestling industry. I think he's going to have to go to WWE to do so, or AEW is going to have to just rise like a phoenix. I think Britt Baker has the potential to go down as one of the greatest female stars to never wrestle in WWE. I don't know if she'll ever go to WWE. Now, she was, or is believed to be, was in a relationship with Adam Cole. And it doesn't seem like they are now. Cole mentioned on his Twitch that he was looking forward to doing more streaming on that service once he's moved from Florida back to Pennsylvania, and he was moving so alone, indicating that he wasn't with Britt. They have yet to confirm that. Regardless, I think MJF, if he wants to try to be known as one of the greatest to ever do it, I think he needs to go to WWE. And I think he has a real shot if so. Obviously, that's not going to happen anytime soon because he's signed with AEW, or re-signed. With Britt, I can absolutely see her going to WWE. But we will see in the end.